seconds. We are going live, and it is going to be another amazing episode or Freedom Friday opportunity to infuse our audience. And we are literally live now. Isn't that exciting?
Okay. Yeah. Hi.
Welcome, everyone. It is a beautiful Friday, and we are literally across the country with myself in Tennessee and Miss Jannay, a beautiful Jannay Murphy Hughes with me today. She is a repeat guest for us because she's been with us when we were on the radio years ago, and you had your beautiful sister with you. And we were talking about real estate in the Insider Show. And today we're going to be talking about leadership. Jannay, first of all, say hello. Anything special you want to share with our audience? To just introduce yourself, and I'm going to.
Yeah, my name is Jannay Murphy Hughes. I'm a realtor. I am a co-leader of the Murphy team at Century 21 Select Real Estate. I've been realtor for 20 years, and it'll be 20 years on July 6th, so coming up close to that anniversary, and I'm just really excited to be here.
That's a pretty amazing history, isn't it? And you've gone through such a journey. I mean, so Jannay now is so humble. You are a very powerful local influencer. You are heavily involved in your real estate success, if you will, for the team. You are also very purposely involved in the community, and you have some beautiful family that is all part of the community as well, right?
Totally.
Right. So the fun part, is there anything in the journey that you've been in that is important for everybody to know about what is so important to you about being that presence? Before I dive into the leadership side.
Okay. About my journey, I would say I was fortunate enough to have 10 years of building my career prior to having children. So I think that's important to note, because as I can, if we get into conversations today about balance, I'm not sure I could have the same balance back then that I have now, right? So my career was well on its way. Like I said, I was licensed in July of 01. I had my first son in September of 10. And up to that point, I pretty much worked as an individual. I mean, I worked with my dad on the Murphy team. He's been in the business 40 years. But we worked fairly independently. And then when I had my first kid is when I started bringing on like my first assistant, and then kind of building things from there, because I realized that I couldn't keep the production I had and have the balance of being a parent. So now the latter 10 years of my career, I have been married, I've been divorced, I've had 3 children, I'm in another relationship with somebody who has another child, so I'm raising 4 kids. And so, yeah, it's a journey for sure.
I'd say that journey word is so accurate. And yet, I mean, when you say production, your team has been in the top in the country for how many years now?
We've been in the top 100 for the 19 straight years. So we became a team the first full year that I was after, I started in July. So in January, we registered as a team in January of 02. And so we've had, 18 years of complete years on the team. We've always ranked in the top 100 in the country for Century 21. And our best ranking, I think, was in 2016-ish, give or take a year, when we actually ranked number 20 in the country.
Isn't that exciting? And you do that with genuine care and commitment to your clients. That's not just building a number, building a presence. It is building a community of people that you're invested in. And
right. People don't always understand how real estate agents work, or how they get their business, or how different people's paths can look. There are agents that build their business mostly by running ads on Facebook or Zillow. And so they're trying to find clients all the time. And our purpose is a little different, or our path is quite different than that, where we don't advertise ourselves at all. My dad's been in the business 40 years, I've been in business 20 years, and we get our clientele by just being present and being out there, and people knowing us and loving us and wanting to do business with us, and then doing it again and again, and then referring us to their family and friends. So when we talk about like a marketing budget, we don't really have a marketing budget. All of our effort is put forth in like just trying to stay connected with the existing people we already know.
There is so much power in that in the first place, right? And we could go on a whole tangent of that. I will.
It's so much more fun to work your business with people you already know. Like you're taking care of your family, your friends, the people that they know. And so there's a warmness to it. And there's a personal connection with like almost all of our clients.
There's been a commitment from that since the beginning of time when your team started, right? So, right. And I'm curious for you personally, as we dive into the leadership side, because we could cover, and we may come back to a couple of things you said there, is when did you know you were a leader? When did you first realize I see myself as a leader?
Probably the day you invited me to speak at your leadership conference.
And what resonated then?
I don't think that I had ever, nobody sits back and goes, am I a leader? What do I do? I don't know. It's not something that you really think about. So you invited me to come speak at one of your leadership conferences as a leader. And I'm like, am I a leader? I don't know. So you made me stop and kind of self-reflect. So I would say that was in roughly August, September, October of 2019.
And the exciting thing is you've been leading so much longer than that. And yet, what a wonderful gift. Thank you for sharing that. And I have watched that for years, having the gift of being in your world and be a gift in that journey is you have been leading yourself, your family, your team for years. And you didn't even, and I tell people all the time, one of the things in my business is I get to help people own that leadership. So right. I love that you shared that so joyfully. Is oh gosh, and I remember even when I was teaching high school years and years ago, and all of a sudden I realized my students were born the year I graduated high school. And I'm like, how'd that happen? Right. Where did that time go? So I understand what you're saying of, oh, I am a leader, right?
Right. When you brought it up to me, I had to stop and like kind of reflect on my childhood and how did I get to where I am? And it did start at such a young age. It's just, you're not recognizing it. You're not recognizing that you're a leader when you're doing certain things. So, on sports teams, I wasn't the best player, but I was involved in everything. And, I would make sure that everybody was there, that everybody was happy, that everybody was listening to the coaches. I just have kind of always had this like almost motherly instinct. If my birthdays, my poor parents, there was 30 kids at every birthday party I had because I didn't want to leave anybody out and I wanted everybody to be there. And now like with my kids, I feel like it's the same way. If my kid wants to play soccer, I'm emailing 15 people to see if they want to be on the soccer team with my kid because I want to make sure that they're having that experience. And so trying to get people, I'm the entertainer, I'm the organizer. If somebody was going off to college, I threw the party to give them farewell. If they moved back, I had the party to say welcome back. There's always been this thing that I did.
It was a gift to people for you to connect people. So your natural desire is to connect people. And that is what I'm hearing, because one of the other conversations that I asked about is if you were to pick one specific skill, one specific thing that really drove your leadership, what would you wrap it around?
Well, it's funny because now all of a sudden I think it's the word connection, right? But before this conversation took place, I think I would have said more about, the word is so overused right now, but authenticity. But you hear it so much right now, it's almost a broken record. But I say that in a way that I just am who I am. I just kind of like, I am who I am. I'm very hard on your sleeve. I'm very emotion forward. So I am laughing when you're laughing. I'm crying when you're crying. I'm stoked when I give you the keys to your house. I am so excited when I sell your house because you get to be closer to your kids or your grandkids. Like I'm emotionally invested. So I lead with my emotion and transparency and authenticity. And so people just kind of follow because it feels real.
It's genuine. You come from a place of your natural heart centered focus, right? You come from that place of, I want to be part of your world and I want to surround my children and my family and the people I adore to have that connection and have that opportunity to feel that genuineness in everything you do. That's not just in your business, that's in everything you do. And you've shared that. right?
Well, and I think, my business never feels like business because I'm just doing what I do all the time. I'm connecting people, I'm organizing, whether it's inspections and paperwork, whatever. You're just kind of moving people through a system, but because you know that you're helping them meet a goal, it doesn't feel like work. You're like literally changing somebody's life.
And you get to be a vessel to that change.
Right.
And
I love my job.
Right? That's so important. I see the heart. I noticed your shirt right away. I heart houses. I love it. That was so fun. And the fun part of the other thing you said is I just run them through a system and a structure.
Right.
And so many people, and it made me want to comment on that for just a second before I ask you the final question, or maybe, a few others. As you know, I can't help myself.
I know.
The gift of what you said is you've learned over the years with a little bit of prodding that the systems and structure gave you more freedom. It gave you the ability to be more present and more consistent. And is there anything you want to remind people about that's valuable that you've learned?
No, I think that is really important. I have online systems. I've found like free app kind of programs where I can create checklists. And to this day, I still do it on every property. It's like, it's just even the reminder at the close of a transaction just to go into my database and change somebody's address. Because then when you go to do Christmas cards, when you look back and you see that, oh God, 10 of these people move and I haven't updated their address and now I got all this work to do later. So to this day, I still use like incredibly organized checklists. And when I check one thing, it prompts 3 more things. Okay, if you've done that, now you got these 3 tasks. So because I don't have to sit there and think about what I have or haven't done on each transaction, I feel like I save a lot of time in my life.
And gives you the freedom to have the time in other places, right? And yet you also know that you have a checks and balance system in place so that you show up that genuine and your brain is not worried about what you need to do next. You're truly able to be present. And I just wanted to clarify that real quick.
Yeah, and time is like the best gift that we have. And so you just let something kind of suck your time away and what do you have left, right? I mean, if I get 10 minutes with my kids in a day, or I get an hour with my kids, or I get 3 hours with my kids, like that's your make or break, right? That's your balance, that's your livelihood, or maybe it's being able to fit the workout in the day or whatever. So yes, organization. I have a really funny story, actually.
Love it.
My girlfriend that I graduated high school with is now living in Southern California, and she's doing movies, and I don't know, I think her movie's like number 3 on Netflix right now. Deadly Illusions, watch it. There's a thing for Annie. Anyway, we were talking recently and she sent me a message and she goes, I just want to let you know something that I've wanted to tell you for decades. She goes, I stayed the night at your house for the first time in 7th grade. And she's like, and you had this, our school binder, right? Like whatever you do your schoolwork in, she's like, you had a binder. She's like, you had color coded tabs. They were labeled. You had a cover sheet on each one. She's like, I went home and I was like, Mom, we got to redo my binder today. She's like, you inspired me to get organized in 7th grade. And it has literally followed me through my school and into my career. And I'm like, really? Just like my trapper keeper did that to you? It's like, I'd never seen somebody who's so organized.
My trapper keeper did that. I love that. And you are powerfully organized. And yet you say and share that, like even in 7th grade, that's just who I am. This is what I believe in. This is what I do.
Right.
This is a blessing.
Yeah.
This is what is supposed to happen, right? And you don't realize the influence and impact that it has. What a beautiful.
I was so shocked when she told me that. I'm like, wait, you've been holding this in for 30 years? Come on.
Right? That's exciting that she shared it. Thank you for sharing it.
It was very cool.
It is very cool. So final thought to wrap up for the audience and any other thoughts that came out of it. When you think about anyone that is listening to you and saying, how do I find that? What would be the first step? What do I do to recognize I'm a leader?
Be specific. How do you find what?
I love it. To recognize that first, I am a leader. I get to lead me. I get to lead others. And what would you recommend that they do, or think about what step could you recommend that they really own that? I mean, you, even after, as you shared, from that speaking engagement, it did a whole lot of transformation, right?
Right.
What would you advise?
I think you just got to stop and reflect. I mean, we've all been impacted by leaders, and okay, I'm going to take this off of me and I'm going to talk about my 10-year-old. So
I love it.
And he's a really, really good kid. And he has all of the flaws that I had at his age that made me who I am today. So my son is rigid and A-type, and he tries to be a leader amongst his friends, but sometimes he does it more with like deceit and some lies, and he's, you know, some exaggerations. And so what I'm teaching him is that you seem to have influence over your friends. You're kind of an influencer. You're kind of a leader. And that's only good if you use it right. And so I'm like, you need to lead with your heart. You need to be honest, and like people will follow you. But I said, if you want to get to a point, because I really think I have 3 different kids, and I don't say this about every kid, but I do think my 10-year-old has the ability to like someday be running a company or owning a company or doing something. But I'm like, you're only as successful as the people who are with you. So I'm like, the top people don't get there because they pushed everybody down. You can't become a leader through negativity and like dropping your friends, and like they'll play soccer and he'll, oh, you're not that good, I'm better than you. And I'm like, whoa, your soccer team's not going to be good if you're the only player. Your soccer team's going to be great if we help everybody else be great with you. That's how you get a team, right? So I feel like our audience isn't a bunch of 10-year-olds, but that's just the lesson that I have to learn, because I'm trying to teach him how to be the best version of himself. And so I think a leader is somebody who inspires, who is authentic and truthful and honest, who leads with emotion, and who wants everybody to do great with them. And on my real estate team, I've never told somebody, well, you're only a buyer's agent, you can never list a house, or you're only going to be this and you can never go into this other position, because then they're going to leave your team because they want to do better for themselves. We've always had the mentality like, hey, we'll start you, we'll train you here. When you're ready and you want to start listing, we'll get a new buyer's agent. And when that person's done their stuff and they're here, then we'll bring somebody in to help you guys. So it's always been this mentality of like raising everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta bring everybody with you. Otherwise, the top's real lonely.
Right?
Lonely.
And, you know, there's value in surrounding yourself with people. And it was so funny you brought up your 10-year-old. I took my 9-year-old grandson to Myrtle Beach, and we're on a playground, and he's got the whole doggone playground. He's leading them all. He's never met them before, and he's leading every one of them on a make-believe ship that he just created. You've got this role, you've got this role, you've got this role. And I had that same conversation with him. So I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a beautiful gift that the new leaders are being raised up, and
Right.
we get to be purposeful. All the leaders listening to us right now get to recognize that we get to teach ourselves and them how
Right.
we raise up and build our world and our community around. And I want to add one other factor that I tell people all the time: in real estate, facts do matter, and you do need to be purposeful about contracts and all the details.
Oh, for sure.
You know, the cross your T's, right? In the
Right.
same aspect, I love what you said. I show up with heart, because sometimes people forget. Do you remember what it was like to buy or sell? Do you remember what it was like to have these things happen? And those are pieces of the puzzle that if you don't have that heart and genuineness and ability to meet them in their world, you don't have the ability to have that connection. And
I remember when I bought this house, which is 13 years ago now, it being like the best moment in my career, because it had been so long since I had bought or sold anything. And then when I went to buy this, and there were multiple offers, and I'm crying at night and I'm so stressed out, I'm like, oh yeah, this is what my clients go through. I kind of forgot how that felt.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you get to experience something that you have a different set of questions and awareness instead
Right.
of just going through the motions. And so, as always, Jannay, you are a beautiful gift, and I love spending time with you. I love our conversations, and I knew it would be a wonderful honor to our guests or our listeners to have you come back. And you know, and who knows when we're gonna do this again. And yet, as you know, we work to keep staying connected all along the way. How do people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you, stay connected?
Oh, sure. I think you tagged my Facebook. So I've got my personal Facebook is very public, Jannay Murphy Hughes. My business page is Sac Valley. I don't know, it's the Murphy team. It's
We'll post it later.
Value, I don't know. Yeah, and then and my website's jannay.com, Jannay. So you can get my email, my phone number, text me, email me, whatever. I'm just here, whatever.
You, as always, are
Just
more,
buy some time, bring a bottle of wine with you. It's fine.
right? I love it. Well, when we get to visit again, I'm sure that'll be one of the opportunities to stop over.
Right?
It's always a gift. Thank you for
But I
joining
want
me.
to say thank you to you because you have, you've had me on the show. You taught me in stars, and then you had me on your Freedom Friday before. Here I am again. You had me at your leadership conference as a speaker, and I think anybody who is asked to do a job like that, it's your first reaction is you're honored that somebody would consider you for it, and then it's stressful, and you realize you're busy, and this is going to take time away from those other things I typically dedicate my time to, and the day we were going to Grass Valley, I'm like, I can't believe I got to drive all the way to Grass Valley, and I got so much to do. And every time I leave something that you've allowed me to be a part of, I feel like I gained so much more than I gave to anybody. I mean, when I left the leadership conference, I restructured my team just based on things I was hearing from the other speakers and the audience. And I felt like I left there giving so much more than I gave. And it's just been a total pleasure to be on here with you today.
I would receive that, and thank you for sharing that. And I, as you know, I show up with the same heart and commitment to be able to give and to receive. And
Yeah.
I'm learning that it's okay to receive too.
It's a hard one for us.
Right?
It is.
It's a blessing. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Mwah.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.